Hello, and welcome again to another episode of the Culture Hour. Today, we've got another great guest, and his name is Simon Bailey. And Simon has a world of experience nationally and internationally. He's a breakthrough strategist. About 16 years ago, he actually left as a former sales director of the Disney Learning Institute. So obviously, his customer service is right on par. He knows how to get at that as well as more. But today, he teaches organizations and individuals to get at a greater future. And I love this. He teaches folks to let go of fearlessness and to become fearless. So, Simon, why don't we just dive right into today and tell the audience a little bit more about who you are and what you bring to the table, and then we'll dive right in.
First of all, thank you for having me and good to be with you, and hello to everyone. So years ago, I was working at Disney, and what I noticed is that when individuals love what they do, it's not about what they're getting in the form of a paycheck, it's about who they are becoming. And once individuals know that they can make a difference every single day, they literally quit their job and go to work because a job stands for just overboard. But when you go to work, it's because you're in a culture that celebrates you rather than tolerates you. So today, I teach organizations how do you create that future and teach people how to be fearless so that culture exists 24/7.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to type that in for people too. That's going to be the quote of the day, by Simon Bailey. I love that. I I mean, that resonates with me immensely and hopefully to the audience as well. So my name is Shelley Smith. I'm the owner of Premier Rapport. And as you guys know, I'm everything culture, and the Culture Hour is dedicated to everything that falls within culture. And interestingly enough, Monday Night Football is back on. The pre-games were, and this past Monday, I was sitting there working and listening to my husband listen to football, and the team was talking about the new culture that was being built by the new coach. And you can't get away from culture. You know, you and I both have been talking this game for years, and everybody's catching up to us, right?
Yes.
But I love it. I love the conversation. There's so much in the news, good and bad, around it. But we're going to talk about all the good stuff. So Simon, let everybody know, and I obviously want to know too, what are some of the big things that you're seeing in today when you're going out? Are there some themes that you're seeing around culture, or some common questions that people are asking you to come speak at or to teach them?
Yeah, I'm seeing three things. Number one, I'm seeing a renewed focus on leadership, but not from the standpoint of just being a leader to be a leader. It's
Hmm.
understanding that leaders create the experience for employees, and employees create the experience for customers, and repeat customers in this recommendation economy. They will yelp about a brand if they have been treated fairly by employees. But employees cannot give what they have not received, and they can only give when they have received from a leader who is emotionally available and who has not just emotional intelligence, but social intelligence. And he or she understands how to edit their word choice and really unlock the potential that exists in people. If the fruit doesn't fall too far from the tree, people will lead based on how they've been led. So the
Yeah.
big overarching theme is around leadership. The other thing that I see underneath that is this focus on a sense of belonging. So
Yeah.
it's not enough just to have a person join an organization. How do they belong to that organization where they are willing to work beyond the job description that they've been hired to do and really take psychological ownership of how the organization wants to unlock them? And then finally, the third thing that I'm seeing is this whole thing around psychological safety
Mm,
and providing a safe environment for men and women to go above and beyond, not because they have to do it, but because they want to do it.
yeah.
And that psychologically safe environment or psychologically safe culture creates employer loyalty, which creates customer loyalty.
Love that. You know, you use the word experience, and that seems to be the new buzzword. You know, years ago, when buzzword started in culture from in the empowerment piece. So experience is definitely thrown around a lot today. And I love how you articulated that. And I want you to actually, if you could tell the viewers a little bit about your philosophy and maybe your personal aha, if you want to, around the being emotionally available. Obviously, I met you recently at an event and you talked about that piece. So I don't know if you want to go through the whole story, but kind of that's your jam, being able to unlock that in people. And you are able to do that because of the aha moment you had. So can you further describe what that is to the viewers? Because I think that's a really important point.
So emotionally available leaders understand that they have to listen, not just hear. So my daughter Madison, who's a 16-year-old, came in my home office one day, and I was in between trips. I was busy. I was not effective for her, and I sensed that she wanted to talk, but what I was doing was more important than her. And she eventually said, "Daddy, I see you're busy. I'll just come back later." And it hit me on the plane the next day that I missed the moment with my daughter. I was emotionally unavailable. So I came back from out of town and I said, "Madison, I'm so sorry that I didn't really listen to you the other day." And she said, "Daddy, it's okay." I said, "No, it's not okay. Because if I don't change this behavior, I'm modeling something for your brother that he's going to treat you and your mother like I've treated you." Well, if you
Mm-hmm.
think about that in the context of business, when I first got promoted into a leadership role at Disney, I got my corporate American Express card, my name on the door. I thought I was hot stuff. But the reality is, I was a jerk and I was emotionally unavailable because it was all about using my team as a ladder to climb to the next level in my career
Yeah.
instead of being emotionally available to find out what made them tick. What was
Yeah.
important to them? How do I remove obstacles and roadblocks out of their way so that they could release their potential and help the organization move to the next level? And what I recognize, if I didn't change my behavior and become emotionally available, Disney was going to invite me to find my happiness elsewhere. So
Yeah.
it was a painful lesson.
No, I love that. And I love how that resonates. The other thing that there's been focus on from an assessment standpoint is the emotional intelligence piece. And obviously, that's something that we can learn. And so I think that emotional piece that you've connected to that is, it dives right into that very element. My colleague that is my co-host, that she's not here today, Elizabeth Veliz, recently did a podcast for Chris Rainey in London. And during her wrap up piece, one of his questions was maybe just the best tip of the day type of thing. But at any rate, she talked about the how she spends her day, and that 80% of her day is about developing others, and in a very intentional way. And Elizabeth has been a business owner and has been in the HR field for years. She's definitely a high-end business professional from an HR standpoint, especially. But, that element that is lost in our cultures, and I think how we've gotten so lost in our cultures is the fact that we forgot to talk to people, and we have been very disconnected in many levels because of technology, running so fast, trying to climb the ladder, that lobster theory somewhat of pulling people down, and we've gotten caught in the rat race for that. And one of the best advices that she gives all the time, and she definitely resonated in this, is spending 80% of your time when you're a leader out with your people.
Absolutely.
You shouldn't be found in your office, right? I mean, how in the world do you know what's going on if you don't talk to people? And I was with a group yesterday. They had just gotten back some results from an assessment in disengagement, and the executives, it's a large company, multiple levels of just the leadership alone, and the executives were making the decision on why people were or were not engaged in a boardroom. I'm like, wait, what? What? They were so far removed. And so I said, this is why the TV show Undercover Boss is so famously known, because these bosses have lost touch and they go out and they hear the real deal from the people who are living it every day. So when you talked a couple of weeks ago about that emotional piece, that's what I was thinking about, is we've lost our ability to communicate one-on-one, or our desire, because we think it takes up too much time. And then we go down this squirrel hole or this foxhole, missing all of the opportunities.
Mhm.
Are there things that you could say to the viewers from a day-to-day routine? Could you give them any tidbits of maybe some tips that you give to people, either again through your keynotes or when you're doing, consulting, of how do I even get started when I'm so far off track of being emotionally and connected? Is there something I should do first?
I think there are three things. Number one, every person who's committed to developing people should carve out a one-on-one time that you meet with them weekly or at least every other week, to really just sit down with that person. And please don't do what I did years ago. I would schedule it, but then I would move it because there was another competing priority that said to that person they were not the priority, and it's like kicking the can down the road. And I kept kicking the appointment down the road, and eventually people didn't take me seriously that I really thought they mattered. So don't do
Yeah,
that. If you schedule it, make it happen.
yeah,
Secondly, understand the learning style of every person that you're looking to impact. There are obviously, we know, visual learners, auditory learners, and hands-on learners. But Dr. Howard Gardner, professor of education at Harvard, talks about the 8 to 11 different multiple intelligences. And I believe when we tap into how a person is wired and they understand that we get them, you are now personalizing how you emotionally engage them because they know that you get them at the core and they're just not a social security number in the HR payroll system. That's the second thing. And then the third thing is, early and often, when you have your team come together, what if you let another one of the team members create the agenda and lead the meeting? It's not as if your ego is going to be bruised because ego could stand for edging greatness out. But really, what you're doing is creating a teaching moment for other men and women around the table to lead from where they are and to really kind of take a test drive in what is it like in a day in life of being a leader.
I love that. I love all three of those and definitely use those myself. I often tell people when they cancel their team meetings or their one-on-ones is that do you cancel your prospect meetings? I mean, aren't your employees your
Exactly.
customers, right? I mean,
Exactly.
who's like, no,
Exactly.
I'm not going to take that sales call today. No, I don't
Right.
need your business. I
Right.
mean, you're so right. That's what you're saying when you cancel those meetings. Or it's like moving um, the pineapple and you don't have time to cut it up and eat it, and you keep moving it and moving it and moving it, and finally it's rotten and you got to throw it away. And that's your employee exiting your organization, or worse, staying on your payroll why they're rotten, right? So I love that.
Exactly.
Um, and I too am a huge believer in motivating people to how they're hardwired. So I love predictive index because it gets to that behavioral hardwiring, and it flips the golden rule of treat your neighbor the way you want to be treated on its end. In that, no, 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 it's really, you need to treat them the way they need to be treated. What motivates them. So I love that too,
Exactly.
and I absolutely love the different roles that are played within a meeting, from a facilitator to the fun person to the agenda to the timekeeper to the person who takes the notes and does the follow-ups. I love all of that. Those are all great ways to sort of bite size it down, like you said, to
Hmm.
kind of get started. So are there any other big wow moments that you want to share with the audience, or maybe anything that you've seen recently as a big no-no, or maybe a great story that's been a big win with one of your clients that you would want to share?
Yeah, I think there are two observations that I've made, and what I'm about to say is going to be very opinionated. So let me just add that
Okay.
disclaimer on the
Okay.
front end. Um, First observation is performance reviews are a joke. Performance reviews need to die a death immediately because there's a meeting before the meeting, and the meeting before the meeting happens with management. And a person says, hey, when I mention this person's name, I want you to speak well of them so they can get exceeds expectations. And I'm going to speak well of your person so they can get exceeds expectations instead of meets expectations. And then you get into the meeting, and then the senior leader says, boys and girls, we've just got X amount of pot of money that's going to go around. And there are so many that are going to be graded on a curve. And people do not have privy or influence in that meeting. They have been working their fingers to the bones. They've been having to do more with less. They have been told it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. The promotion's coming, it's coming, it's coming. The pay raise is coming, it's coming, it's coming. And damn it, it never comes. And so you want this person to show up and to give their head and their heart, but they are coat checking their head at the door because their
Yeah.
heart's not in it and their hands are scattered everywhere because we're treating people like they are human doings, not human beings. I
Yeah.
know I sound like I'm on my soapbox. So what
No,
I'm
I'm
saying
like, tell us how you really feel. I love it.
so what I'm saying is, could we collaborate with OD, organizational development? Can we collaborate with HR? Can we collaborate with learning and development to devise a better way to look at performance? Performance is the price of freedom. So how do we get there in a better way than the way we've been doing the last 25 years? Because here in the South,
Yeah.
we say that dog won't hunt anymore. And the performance review dog will not hunt anymore. That's the first observation.
Yes, I love that. I am like amen and all over that. It's amazing how we don't thread the life cycle, right? It's either we do
Yeah,
a great job up front with the intentional hire,
right,
or we're pretty
right.
good at onboarding, or we're pretty good at giving suggestions on career, but we suck in that middle.
Totally,
Suck every
totally,
way known to man. You're
totally.
right. And because people don't like to give feedback, which is to
Exactly.
me astounding. Astounding. I know you have another one, but just to like, because I amen, brother. I'm just like all over that. Um,
This, yeah,
talking about football. So a professional coach and a college coach knows there's one thing they have to do, and that's win to keep their job, right? They
that's right.
know that. And the players know what's going to keep them on the field, and they know what's going to get them on the bench or off the team. They know that. We need to take, in corporate America, a
Uh-huh.
page out of the playbook, because it
Hmm.
shouldn't be a guessing game of what success looks like.
Right,
And it is
right.
amazing when I ask the C-suite to the middle manager to the doer,
Hmm.
what does success look like in your role? I don't know.
Hmm.
Well, I don't know.
Hmm.
Well, we need to have growth. Well, what does growth look like? 10%. Well, how do we get there? Who does it involve? What? It's amazing, and it blows my mind away.
Mm.
If every entrepreneur thought like that, we wouldn't have 40% of our company, or of our economy, predicated in the small business, because there wouldn't be any. At any rate, see, I can get on that soapbox too. What was your second thing?
Engagement surveys are a joke. Okay, now hang with me for a moment because I know everybody uses engagement service surveys as the grand dame of understanding where we're going. But here's my observation: the week or day before the engagement survey happens, if it's in the summertime, all of a sudden, Shelley, there's this pop up ice cream social out of nowhere. And
Hmm.
executives who live in the ivory tower, who you never see, are all of a sudden walking around, shaking hands, saying, Kumbaya, aren't we so great? Are we so wonderful? And employees are like, what the heck? Really? And if it's in the wintertime, there's this pop up hot apple cider social, and we're
Or chili
buttering people
cook-off.
up, or chili cook up. And people are like, what the heck? Do you think we're stupid because you want us to say nice things in the employee engagement survey, so there's not a meeting after the meeting when the survey comes out and the boss is trying to find out who said what, because now their money is tied to it. And employees are not that dumb. And I
Yeah.
wish that we would come up with a better way. So, what's the better way? And let me add a disclaimer: I don't have any affiliation with this organization, but I do admire what they do.
Uh-huh.
So, there's an organization out of the Bay Area called Tiny Pulse. And
Yes.
Tiny Pulse just does like a question a week or a question a month, and you can watch it on a dashboard. And literally, you deal with problems when they're a little puppy, not when they become a German Shepherd and they come back to bite. So,
Yeah.
what I think the way engagement surveys need to go is maybe a little bit of a tiny pulse, which is a lot more respectful than doing this huge engagement survey that there's an offsite meeting, flip chart papers all around the room, only to discover after we said, here's how we're going to get better based on the engagement feedback, you clearly realize that culture eats strategy for lunch. So, how do we now begin to think about engaging people on a more rapid pace than the engagement survey, which goes into the bottom drawer and we reinvent the wheel all over again and haven't moved off of dime to really create a better culture? I really get passionate. I am so sorry. I'm really
No.
trying to remain calm. I know this is a very corporate, type of interview, but it's the truth.
No, I completely agree with you too. It's got that time and that place. I think that usually the questions are far too broad and or too vague. They're not intentional. We don't really know what we're going to measure, or we measure things that we have no intention of doing anything about. So I completely agree with you. So I think that there's a time and a place, but it's got to be set up right. And it's got to be intentional. And you're right. You have to do it daily. We show up to work daily, and the engagement and the conversations around people, because people are who create the culture, are there daily. So you're right. And I almost think that, now obviously I sell them, I create them, but I also ask when they go to do it, what are you using it for? What's the reason? What's the driver? Is there a root cause? Are you doing this just to check it off? Are you doing it so you can put some results inside of your, for nonprofits inside of your review? What's the reason to make sure that we're doing it? Because if not, it's like, I'll take your money, but if you're not going to do anything about it, I would rather help you
Right.
get a return than,
Right.
Not. That I view it sometimes as, for the ones who do it the way you just said, I view it as it's like having bringing the union in. Is you've got your union person who is your middle person between the employees and management. Why don't you just ask them what their opinions are? And if you've got an environment that they can't tell you, well, then the very foundation of trust is missing, right?
That's it.
So
That's it. Totally.
I agree with you again. Darn it. No, I'm just kidding. So we've gone our due diligence time today and then some, and you've given the viewers, I think, some great tips, and I appreciate your input. Is there anything final that you would like to say, and let the viewers know how they can best get in touch with you if they would like to pick your brain a little bit more?
Yeah, here's what I'll say. A job is what you're paid to do, but release your brilliance is what you're made to do. You can follow me on LinkedIn, Simon T. Bailey, or simontbailey.com, and I look forward to serving you.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Simon, on behalf of myself and my co-host, Elizabeth. We appreciate your time today. And if you guys, want to have more before you even connect, all you have to do is Google Simon's name, and you're going to see some videos and some keynotes. And obviously, you can go to his website to learn more about what he does, how he got there, and his continued story. So thank you again on behalf of myself, Elizabeth, and the viewers. My name is Shelley Smith. Remember, you can submit your questions, your thoughts, your ideas straight to me at Shelley@premierrapport.com. You can go to the website, and you can obviously respond to any of the videos that are posted in the playlist. So until next time, peace out. Culture matters because people matter. Thank you so much, Simon. We'll talk to everybody soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.